3 things airlines don't want you to know. If the crew uses the following code word, you're in serious trouble. Prepare yourself if you hear code 7500 because this means the plane is about to be hijacked.
Oh, Bobby, you're back at it again. Just to clarify, Bobby, just so I understand everything, what you're saying is some masked men have taken over the cabin area of the plane. They're running around with guns and masks on and screaming and all that stuff. And then they're kicking at the door to get up onto the flight deck. And obviously in this case, I'm just a passenger. But I should anticipate or expect that these are just angry flight attendants getting ready to do beverage service, not any type of terrorist. I should be waiting for an announcement to be made over the public announcement system or the PA. I should be waiting for that announcement to say 7,500, and then I know that these are terrorists trying to take over the plane, just so I understand exactly what you're saying here. Is that right? And then, of course, what about the scenario where I'm the pilot? So I'm up there and these guys are kicking the door in and they have knives or guns or who knows what, and they have masks on and they're screaming all kinds of things at me. But what I'm going to do is wait for them to actually breach the cockpit door and get onto the flight deck. And then when that happens, that no passengers have tackled them or done anything, right? They breached up and got on the flight deck, and then I'm just going to make an announcement to the passengers and say 7,500, and that's going to let them know that the flight deck has now been taken over by terrorists. Does that sound right?
That boy ain't right.
You don't often hear me talk about anything regarding terrorism and things like that because there's a lot of information that airline pilots are given that is not made for the general public, as you can imagine why they wouldn't want to share that information. So I'm always nervous about talking about these types of things because I don't want to say something that then I end up in trouble with anybody. I'm 99% sure though that this is not one that's going to get me in trouble. However, if after this video you don't see me flying anymore, you're going to know why, and you guys can all blame Bobby. Anyway, there is a code 7500 that is a real thing. However, it is not made over an announcement. There is no announcement of 7500 that you'll ever hear as a passenger. You as a passenger will know the people beating down the door that have guns and knives. Those are the terrorists. You don't need an announcement for that. And then there is something called a transponder on our aircraft. That transponder, we have a random set of numbers that we get anytime we fly as an airline. As an airliner, we're flying on a specific route. We're given a specific number. Air traffic control uses that number to correlate with our aircraft and track us and do a bunch of other stuff. That random number that's in there, that transponder, is never 7,500. But in the event that our aircraft was hijacked, we would change that random number that they give us to say 7,500. That's where that 7,500 code comes from. There's also a 7,600, which is you've lost all radio communications, and you'll transmit 7,600. That lets them know that you may be able to hear, but you're not able to transmit, or that you've just lost all radio communications. That lets them know what's going on with your aircraft. And then there's another code, 7,700, which says we have an emergency. So let's say your engines have exploded. You would put in 7,700 if you had time, or something that is of extreme emergency. You would put in 7,700. So there are 3 codes that you would put in your transponder in the event that something bad has gone wrong. And those are the 3 codes that you would need to know. However, you're never going to hear a pilot make an announcement of 7,500. So if you see people trying to take down the door to get onto the flight deck, I would just go ahead and tackle them because you obviously know what's going to happen next. I'm doing a new thing on this TikTok roast where I give the TikTokers a rating out of 10. I figure since you're making up arbitrary misinformation, I can just make up arbitrary rate numbers and give them to you. And in this one, Bobby, you get a 2 out of 10. 2 because you know there's such a thing as a code for hijacking, and then 2 out of 10 because you literally know nothing else about aviation, but you continue to make videos anyways.
Secrets flight attendants never tell passengers. Even if you ask for regular coffee, they'll give you decaf, because they prefer you to sleep during the flights because it means less work for them. The water used for tea and coffee isn't the cleanest. It's the same as the water used for toilets, as it's pumped from tanks that have probably never been cleaned. Locking yourself in the bathroom often isn't the best idea, because it's possible to open them from the outside, and if you're found to be suspicious of anything unusual, you'll be taken to the police when you land. Oxygen masks don't provide as much air as you would think. They only provide 15 to 20 minutes, which is just enough time for the plane to land.
I see these TikTokers that they make this one video, it does really well, and then I see 10 or 15 other people take that exact same misinformation that they share and they spread it around. and then everybody's saying the same thing. You saw the same thing with the seat belts. As soon as I made a video talking about the seat belts and how you should put your legs up and so your face can smash into your knee, a million other people were sharing the exact same information, and the same thing is going on with the water and some of these other things that I hear people say something and then they make one video about it. I don't even know where they get the misinformation, and then the next thing I know, somebody else is making a video about the exact same information that's also incorrect. Do flight attendants give you decaf coffee when you ask for coffee? No. There is a packet of decaf coffee, and it's like an instant packet, but the regular coffee that I've seen them make is always regular coffee. Now, has it happened in the past that they gave decaf coffee to somebody? Probably, but it's just not the norm in my experience. I've never been a flight attendant, but I've never seen that scam that this person is making it sound like the flight attendants are trying to give everybody decaf so you'll go to sleep, because people are going to know the difference. And then he says this part:
the water used for tea and coffee isn't the cleanest. It's the same as the water used for toilets, as it's pumped from tanks that have probably never been cleaned.
This is completely wrong. The water, or things that we use for the toilet, is a blue juice. We call it blue juice. That's the slang for it, is blue juice. So if you're ever sitting on a plane and the flight attendant were to bring you a cup of water and it was blue and it was Stella, you could say, Stella, I've seen Kelsey's TikTok video and that is blue juice and not water. That is the water that we use for the toilet. It's called blue juice. Regular water comes from a tank. They are not the same thing. Now, I don't work for the Environmental Protection Agency, but they monitor and they regulate how often those tanks are cleaned and tested and all that stuff. Now, how often does that happen? I honestly don't know. I looked it up and there's like a bunch of different rules of when and how often, and that's something that the maintenance side of airlines take care of. I don't know those rules, but I will tell you this. The pilots are drinking coffee all the time when we get on the plane. So you can imagine if all the pilots are drinking coffee and we're getting on a flight and now we all have some type of something going on with our guts and we're throwing up while we're on the flight, that would be kind of a problem. So there is not a very high risk that you're going to drink coffee or drink water and then you're going to feel terrible. Now, does it taste the same as bottled water? No, it doesn't taste the same. Do I typically drink bottled water on the plane? Yes, I do, because I prefer the taste of that. But like I said, a lot of times when pilots show up to the plane, they want a cup of coffee, and the coffee comes from that water that everyone's talking about is the same as the toilet water. Not true. But I really liked when he said this about the bathrooms.
Locking yourself in the bathroom often isn't the best idea, because it's possible to open them from the outside.
I don't know about you, but when I'm on a plane, I don't like people to walk in while I'm going to the bathroom, so when you go to the bathroom, lock yourself in the bathroom. That's the right way to do it. There's even a sign saying you should lock the door. That's how you turn the lights on inside the bathroom. So besides needing to lock the door in order to turn on the lights, you also, if you're in there, unless you're into having people walk into you while you're going to the bathroom, Luke, maybe that's your thing, I don't know. But if you don't want people to walk in while you're going to the bathroom, you're going to want to lock yourself in the bathroom, okay? And then on the wall, next to where you're going to the bathroom, there's a button. You hit this button during a medical emergency, and then the flight attendants will come and see what's going on and probably start by knocking on the door. Then if you don't respond and you've hit that button, then they know there's probably something wrong, and then they will unlock the bathroom door and get you out. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, check out this part here.
If you're found to be suspicious of anything unusual, you'll be taken to the police when you land. Oxygen masks don't provide as much air as you would think. They only provide 15 to 20 minutes, which is just enough time for the plane to land.
So really simply, the easiest way to not get arrested when you get on your flight is don't be doing something shady and don't be a jerk to your crew. Pretty simple. That's it. If you don't be shady and don't be a jerk, simple, no problems. It'll be so easy. And then the part about the O2 mask, well, that's just completely wrong. It is true that it is about 15 to 20 minutes. That is accurate. The thing is you don't need to land in that 15 or 20 minutes. That's not how it works. In the event that your plane was to depressurize, your mask will come down. You're going to need to pull on that because there's a little pin up there. You need to pull on that, which the flight attendants tell you at the beginning of every flight. If you watch, you'll see them do this little motion to show that they're jerking on that cord. You're going to want to pull on that cord because it's going to release a pin that's going to let the oxygen go into your mask. What the pilots are going to be doing at that point is racing to get down to 10,000 feet. At 10,000 feet, you can breathe fine, totally normal. So if something happens, then you are in a situation where your oxygen mask comes down. Don't be freaking out if you're not on the ground in 15 minutes, because all the pilots are trying to do is get to 10,000 feet or lower. At that altitude, you can breathe totally fine. So Luke, the only factual information that you gave in this video is that you can unlock the bathroom from the outside, which is really not anything that I want to have happen to me while I'm going to the bathroom. So I'm going to give you a 0 out of 10 because I'm not looking to be going to the bathroom and have people walking in while I'm in there.
This is is how to survive a plane crash. Make sure you wear long sleeves and long pants before going on a plane. So when it crashes and there's a fire, you won't get burned as bad. Because when you crash and you survive, you're going to want to run from it before the plane explodes. When you are on the plane, memorize the exits. And when the plane starts, don't fall asleep immediately. You will want to be awake the whole time, even if it's a 20-hour plane ride, just in case anything happens so you can survive it. Now, when the plane is crashing, stay calm and smile. It will spread positivity to everyone there. Because what's the point of freaking out? You have no control over it. Make sure to know how to put your oxygen mask on and put it on. Don't try to get your bag, but make sure you are filming this so you can post it on TikTok and go viral. Save this for later so you can watch it when your plane is crashing. Follow for more tips and follow my Instagram.
This video is really weird to me because she says a lot of factual information, but she says it in a way that seems like it's fake. I don't even know how you do that, but just the way that she delivers the information, it just seems like it's fake. So to cover the things that she said that were accurate, wearing jeans would be a smart idea, shoes and not flip-flops or something would be a smart idea, a long sleeve shirt, sure, why not? The truth is, if you're in an accident and anything that's protecting your skin is going to help and make you be more safe, so that is all true, even though somehow the way she said it sounded like it was not true. Now, after all that good stuff she said, she went into TikTok land with this part right here.
You will want to be awake the whole time, even if it's a 20-hour plane ride.
It was a really good start, but the reality is that any flight over 12 hours, you're going to have 4 pilots. Those pilots are going to be swapping. So you might have some pilots up there for the first 6 hours and other pilots up there for the last 6 hours, and then they're all going to be up there for takeoff and landing. Something like that. And during those 6 hours, when the pilots are on break, they'll be doing things like sleeping, watching a movie, resting, walking around. They could be working out. People could be, I don't know, practicing their TikTok dances so they can go viral on TikTok. Maybe some pilot has a couple dances where they're doing the renegade and they just left them in their drafts because they weren't really good. I mean, anything can happen. During your break, you can do whatever you want, and that includes sleeping. So if you're tired, you'd go to sleep, and that would be the safest thing to do because when you go to land, the more alert you are, you're going to be able to think more clearly and make more logical decisions than if you've been awake for the last 24 hours. The other thing is that they're talking about a 20-hour flight. I don't know any flight that's been 20 hours. I think the longest is less than 18 hours. I've done one around 16 hours. It was very long. I was really ready to get off the flight. So there are no 20-hour flights that I know of, at least not on a commercial airline. It does happen in the military, they will do them, but on your typical commercial airline, I think the longest is just under 18 hours. If you're there, be awake for takeoff, be awake for landing, and everything in the middle, go to sleep. Because the reality is that anything that happens in there and there's an emergency, you're going to know before you get on the ground. It'll get you time to get ready, get prepared, listen to what the flight attendants are going to tell you. There's no reason to stay awake during that time and panic. I wouldn't be panicking. I go to sleep every time if I'm on a long flight like that. And for any of you that end up sitting next to me on a flight, please never do this.
Now, when the plane is crashing, stay calm and smile.
If my plane is crashing and in some type of emergency and I look over next to you and I see some type of creepy smile like this happening, I'm probably going to end up punching you in the face. I would like to think that I'm a better person than that, but if I saw you making that creepy smiley face, I would think that you were involved in somehow the emergency that was going on, and my only thought would be, I'm going to punch you because I don't know what you're doing to make this happen. So don't ever do that to me. So far, this girl's actually given a bunch of good information mixed in with some bad and wrong information, but still, she gave some actual factual, useful information to you as a passenger. So I'll give her a 5 out of 10.
Why are no commercial planes allowed to carry parachutes? Obviously, we got airlines. When you get on a plane and then you're taxiing to the runway, these guys stand up right in front of you. Start doing crazy hand signals, and if you're not listening, then you won't know what they're doing. So if you're deaf, then it's a sticky one. What they're basically doing is briefing you on what you got to do to keep safe. Say if there's a fire on board or you need to do an emergency landing in the sea or whatever. These guys will show you the safest way to keep safe.
We're only halfway through this guy's TikTok, but so far he's saying some very factual information. The truth is that when your flight attendants are up there and they're making these different crazy hand signals, as he says, they're teaching you to do things like put on and take off your seatbelt, how to use an oxygen mask, and if a C student like me can figure out how to do those things, I'm sure just about everybody can. Really, there's no crazy hand signals, just listen to what they're saying and watch them. That seems pretty easy. So on this first part of this video, I'll give him a 7 out of 10 because he's correct. If you listen to your flight attendants in an emergency and you follow their instructions, that's probably going to be your safest bet to safely get off that aircraft in an emergency. But then there was this part right here.
Obviously, we got airlines.
I'm not really even sure what value that adds to his video. There are things called airplanes. People get on them. The people who fly those people are called airlines. I don't really understand the purpose of what he's stating there. Anyways, let's see the second part.
A lot of people would have thought, yo, if we got parachutes, then surely we'll be safe. You could just jump out the plane, pull a parachute, and then float to the ground. You see, if you use your head, then it's not actually that simple. First things first, when you're in a plane like that, you'll be traveling at high speeds. Obviously, it'll be very hard to open the door. Even when you open the door, all the pressure will be gone and then you won't be able to breathe. Secondly, if you jump out of the plane, then you're most likely to go into the engine, and you can guess what would happen after that. Finally, this world isn't really full of the brightest people.
Is that how it works? You just take a bunch of fully untrained people, you just put a parachute to them and you just shoot them out the plane and they're going to be fine? In my last Twitter video that I did, I talked about a Karen cannon, which basically ejects passengers and shoots them off the plane. Now, I didn't come up with the name Karen cannon. Whoever did was a genius. I love it. I've been talking about it with my friends. But the Karen cannon was talking about shooting people off the passengers that were misbehaving. That would make more sense in this situation if you wanted to eject people off the plane, because there's a few problems with your concept here. One, in order to open the door, the plane has to be depressurized. So you can't just open a door in flight. It's pressurized. You don't have the power or strength to do that. I'm just going to let you know right now. But in order to open the door, the plane would be depressurized, which means you would already not be able to breathe. So you're reading it in reverse order. You would need to depressurize the plane and then open the door, which means you'd not be able to breathe and then you'd be able to open the door.
Obviously, it'll be very hard to open the door. Even when you open the door, all the pressure will be gone and then you won't be able to breathe.
So if you're ever in a situation where you're in a plane and you can't breathe now because the plane has been fully depressurized, and then you wanted to go open the door, you could. Would not recommend it, but you could. And then he says this part, this little golden nugget that he bestows on us right here.
Secondly, if you jump out of the plane, then you're most likely to go into the engine, and you can guess what would happen after that.
Most aircraft are going to have three different exits. You're going to have one at the front of the plane, one at the overwing, and one at the aft or the rear section of the plane. What this gentleman is suggesting is that you should go up to the front of the plane and jump out there, because then you're going to get to avoid the engine and the wing. That seems like a very dumb move when you could literally go to the middle of the plane and not have either of those problems, and you could go out on the wing, or you could go to the aft of the plane and then not have either of those issues as well. So I'm not sure why he's suggesting you should jump out of the front of the plane at all. And again, I'm just a C student, so what do I know? But he did get this part right.
Finally, this world isn't really full of the brightest people.
If you want to see some more TikTok roasts, check out this video here. And if you want to see some actual aviation emergencies, check out this video up here. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.